And welcome, folks, to another edition of Steady Droppin Dimes. And we are here, Sweet 16 style. Sweet 16 style, as the Wolverines are still alive. Not many thought that they would be, but here they are, Mr. Daniel Horton.
Hmm.
And we are here for it as these guys down in ATL. This is your neck of the woods, right?
Yes, sir.
Are
Yes,
you
sir.
you hosted any special parties down that your neck of the
Nah,
woods, man?
nah. I don't watch the games the same way other people watch the games, so I can't. I'm not the guy to have a watch party.
Okay, okay. Well, I'm making my way down to the ATL to cover the team. I already got half of the crew down that way, the other half of the crew making its way down. We will be descending upon the area.
And this is the first time I'm hearing about this.
Hey, man, listen, I move in silence.
Oh
I
my
move in silence.
God.
No, it's just a whole lot going on. We had
Listen,
so many guys coming by the studio
yeah.
on the football side of things, just wearing all those hats, man. It's tough. So getting
When you
stuff,
get in, man, we gotta go to dinner or something. We gotta go to.
man, it's
Can I
going
say
to
Magic City on it? No, I'm just playing.
yeah,
I
yeah.
won't get nobody in trouble on my bad side.
Yeah, it's man, the final four when Michigan went back in 13.
Hmm.
The ATL I had and the whole ATL crew and the whole ATL experience. It was one to remember, to say the least. So at any rate, though, we're gonna give you the Daniel Horton breakdown of the Sweet 16 and ask the question: Will we see a Michigan State Elite Eight in the ATL? That's one to dissect and break down, and then we will get into some portal talk because unlike Tom Izzo, who said, "I'm not gonna spend any to hell with the damn portal in the middle of the tournament. I don't have to do that." That's what Iz said. He don't have to do what all the rest of these coaches have to do. Dusty said, yeah, I'm looking at the portal while the tournament is going on because we trying to get players. We trying to continue to win. So he's portal shopping for a few different positions, but we're going to focus primarily on big men. We're going to do the big man portal shopping that Dusty May and company are doing. And Daniel has gotten a chance to take a look at a few of them at length. So we're going to break a few of them down. One of them, he's not so sad to see come off the board, right? And from what I hear, it kind of boiled down to because all of this comes down to NIL these days, and there's a price tag, and are you willing to pay that price tag? And you could be like, yeah, I'd rather spend this money elsewhere,
Yeah,
kind
for
of thing.
sure.
That's kind of how I hear that one went down. Now you're looking around and you see my esteemed colleague and co-host Daniel Horton. He of McDonald's All American and Michigan Big Ten baller standout, one of the best players to ever wear the uniform at Michigan fame, right? But you don't see Devin Gardner. There's no DG. Well, he said you guys are going to be talking so much basketball. I just he just he threw up his arms, Daniel. He threw up his arms.
He too famous when we start talking basketball.
He said,
This
ah.
basketball is beneath me.
He don't have no time for it. Nah, he would have showed up. He would have
Yeah,
shown up
yeah.
because he was otherwise occupied. He would have shown up for no other reason than to chime in on this whole LeBron. You see, he jumped on the McAfee show just so he could take some shots.
Yeah, that's. I hope we need to discuss that one.
You
Hopefully,
see,
I got time for that one today.
you see that now. I said this the one time that I would have Stephen A's kind of side, just because I do feel like it's not like you can't criticize LeBron for anything. Like
Mhm.
you can offer some criticism for something, and I think when you grease the tracks, when you slide your son into a a position, I think, okay, there's going to be some scrutiny that comes along with that.
You gotta expect that.
You got to expect that. That's
Yeah.
just fine. Well, okay. But now, Stephen A., you can't get mad, or you don't get in your feelings when the man comes back at you.
Nah, I
Eh,
don't. I think it's the way he did it though. Like you can't, man. Like why are you walking up on this dude who's obviously much smaller than you at this in this public forum?
yeah,
If you really got a problem with what he said, hey man, we go in the tunnel, we go in the back and talk. That way, if things like Stephen A. said, if things really need to go left, it can, and the whole world ain't got to see it. But when you do that, like you putting on for the crowd. I kind of feel
yeah,
like I'm not a big Stephen A. fan.
neither am
I,
I.
I I take shots at him on social media when I feel appropriate, but in this situation, I'm kind of leaning towards having his side. I don't like the stuff he's been saying about LeBron is nothing out of the way. Like he's not talking bad about him as a father. He's not questioning his greatness as an athlete. He's giving honest commentary. No, his son did not to be a deserve to be a McDonald's All American. No, he didn't deserve to be the 55th pick based on merit. Now, like I said before, we asked me on the show, based on his measurables and his skill set, I would take a chance on him. But had he earned that up to that point? No. Two things can be true in this world. Am I wrong?
You're not wrong.
So
You're
it's
not
like,
wrong at
yeah, I'm
all.
not. Like, I don't have no problems with what Stephen A. Smith has said. I think it's a bit corny for both of them, right? Talking to each other through the media when both of y'all are like like my uncle used to say, hey man, I'm easily found. Like like you want with me, I'm easy to find. Like, y'all both are in LA on top of that. So like you don't have to all the the WWE jaw jacking back and forth on social media. If y'all really got an issue with each other,
You
let's
can see
address
each
it,
other.
right?
You can
And if
see
I'm
each
Le- and if I'm LeBron, last part, so if I'm LeBron, I'm only gonna go so far with that because Stephen A's a guy with the pen at the end. He can ask a lot of questions and a lot of hard questions that people talk about in barbershops and in other forums that that'll give credence to some things that LeBron really don't want to talk about. So like
yeah.
if I'm him, I always like I was always taught you gotta leave these like Stephen A has a microphone and the pen, even though it's changed where athletes have a voice now too. He's still the one on TV every day. I leave him alone.
Yeah, I just don't like Stephen A. Seems like I appreciate the man's grind, that he has gotten himself to a certain place,
Mhm,
but I just don't. I feel like while he has created some opportunities for a select few individuals that he puts on his show,
mhm.
there's a gang of people that it seems like with his mouthpiece he forgets about. That's what
Yeah,
it seems like to me personally.
I can dig it. I
That's a
can dig it.
whole separate commentary
Yeah,
that I don't appreciate about him. But on this one thing,
yeah,
I don't think that he was out of bounds for what he said about LeBron. But now he's getting in his feelings again. Like, he
yeah,
like LeBron can't say anything. LeBron can say something back. He just just LeBron was getting a little sensitive.
yep,
Now going on the McAfee show, that's more in line. Like, yeah, you okay? This is in bounds. It's like a rap battle now. Okay,
yeah.
this is cool.
But you get on there, you call and say he's like on a Taylor Swift run, and you call him. So basically, you calling him one word right there, and subliminally, then you call him an MFer. Then it's just like you're saying things like you're like Stephen A. Smith is talking basketball, and you basically have called this man out his name two or three times in a matter of 4 minutes.
Yeah.
Like I said, Stephen A can really make things hard for you, bro. I know you're the guy, they call you the king, but man, one thing I know about these media guys, they will kick you. I'm telling you, you better not fall. You gotta see him on the way up and on the way down, so you better not fall.
Yeah, he's starting to make it be about things other than what they've been talking about of late. So it'll be
Hmm.
interesting to see where that goes. But
Yeah,
listen, this show would not be possible without our great sponsors, one of which our great friends over at the Ann Arbor Sports Commission. We've been telling you about all of the great events that they help bring to this area. Now, when you think of Ann Arbor and the great sports in this town, you think, of course, of the University of Michigan, right? You think after the University of Michigan, you think of okay, what's in Washington County, Eastern Michigan, but so many great sporting events and sporting things to do in this area beyond that. And the Ann Arbor Sports Commission has a lot to do with that. And through our friends at the Ann Arbor Sports Commission and many of the great partnerships that they formed, many great events are still coming to town. They help with event operations, volunteer outreach, venue recommendations, volunteerism, all of that, and putting these great events together. Well, one of them that is coming to town, that will be here in just a couple of days, as a matter of fact, the NAIA Competitive Cheer and Dance National Championships, March 28th and 29th, which again is tomorrow and Saturday at the Eastern Michigan University George Gervin Game Above Center. We've been telling you about it for a few weeks now. Folks, if you haven't gotten your tickets, you need to go ahead and get on the good foot. Get your tickets now. Get on out and enjoy it with the family. You heard Devin say, my favorite movie, or one of them anyway. One of my favorite films. Bring it on. And you're going to see that kind of action over at the George Gervin Game Above Center. And our friends over at the Ann Arbor Sports Commission have been, I think, hyping it up adequately as an affordable, exciting event and the only championship event of its kind put on by the NAIA. And so this 2-day event, you can get on out, that you have a local university participating in Concordia. So again, you'll have the local flavor. They've involved some of the athletes in involving some of the local Special Olympians in the event as well. So giving back to the community is in the event as well. So again, a great opportunity to get out and enjoy some championship action right here in Washtenaw County at the NAIA Competitive Cheer and Dance National Championships. A great event. And when I say they, we talked about it. And I think I showed you guys the video a couple of weeks ago where they went out and they involved some of the Special Olympians in the community. So you had the athletes, the cheer and dance athletes that are participating in the event, and they went and engaged some of the Special Olympians in the community to get out and learn some of the routines. That's one of the things that they do as part of the event to involve the community. That's part of the initiative that the NAIA and the Ann Arbor Sports Commission had in bringing the event to the community. So again, you're doing it all when you get involved with this great event that's coming to town. As I said before, tickets are available right now. If you go over to the website, annarbor.org, you can order them that way, or you can go over to the George Gervin Game Above Center and get them there. Very affordable, very fun. And again, if you watch the movie, Bring It On, you know what kind of event we're talking about. That is going to be what you see in person over the George Gervin Game Above Center here this weekend. So get on out, have fun
Can
with
you imagine Devin 6'5", 240 pounds?
Oh, what you mean actually doing the routine?
No, just at the thing front row watching. Like he
Uh,
doesn't
they,
have doesn't have a kid, or he doesn't have
they should.
anybody, a family member participating,
I think they should actually have Devin. You know how they
have him
had
hosting.
Martin in the movie. Actually,
Yeah,
all you got to do is just stand there and just have somebody like do the stand on his shoulders. I think they should have Devin do that.
yeah. They
I
should
think
find
that
a
would
way for
work.
DG to participate. That'll draw. It'll definitely boost the ratings.
I think it would work anyway. Michigan, talking about participation, Daniel, participation in the Sweet 16. Not many people had them doing it, and yet here they are.
No, for sure.
Uh, a whole lot of people had them losing to UCSD,
Yeah, they were the
and when I
upset
saw
pick.
them walk out, I couldn't figure out why. They should have been up by 25 at the break, but for all those turnovers, they would have been.
Hold on, Stam. You got to see. This is where, as a I'm gonna get you over more to thinking like a basketball guy. All right.
Yes.
instead of a Michigan fan. You cannot say we should have been up 25 if not for the turnovers. The turnovers are part of the game,
I hear you.
right? All right. So
I
you
hear you.
cannot say that.
I
UC
hear you.
Davis, UC Davis had a hand in us. I mean, UC San Diego. I'm sorry, I always get the UC schools mixed up,
I
but
hear
they
what you're
had a
saying.
hand in that, right? So you
No,
gotta you
no,
gotta
they
give them
didn't. No,
respect
they
as well.
no, they didn't. No, no. Michigan's turnovers was doing so the turnovers were a part of the game, to your point.
Hmm.
But the turnovers were turnovers that Michigan has been making all season.
Hmm.
And that's the thing. So that's the part where it's like, man, why they keep doing that? Why do they keep doing that? You get baseline and you try to throw a pass from out of bounds back inbounds. What?
Yeah,
What?
that's a skill that we teach. It's called a baseline drift. So the guy fills the baseline corner. You drive baseline. Only way you can make that pass is to get out of bounds and make the pass down the baseline.
Man,
So
okay.
that's called it's called a baseline drift. Everybody's not able to execute it. So like
You
you
thought
normally
that was
know.
a
No, no, he didn't execute it worse.
good pass?
He didn't execute it worth a damn, but that's something that's taught to amongst in practice. Hey, you go drive baseline. This is one of your options if you can execute this pass. Obviously, we didn't execute it right.
Yeah, so they're up 14 at the half. I don't want to belabor that game and go back over these games
Yeah,
at
yeah, yeah.
length. But it was one of those things, Daniel, where if they played that game the way they played the A&M game from a taking care of the basketball standpoint,
Hmm.
it feels like it's different. And you wonder, can they bottle that up? Because they took care of the basketball so much better against A&M. And so
Yeah, A&M didn't try to pressure, right? A&M played more of a token 1-2-2 where they wanted to make Michigan kind of pass the ball in the backcourt and cross half court with less time on the shot clock to be able to, run their actions again to their offense. But like I said, that was probably one of the worst coached game plans, right? Because Michigan doesn't run long developing systems, right? So if you make even if you're gonna run this 1-2-2 back to man to make Michigan cross with say 18 seconds, 20 seconds, 22 seconds instead of I've got the NBA shot clock in my mind. 30 second shots with closer to 20 seconds instead of 27 seconds if they're blasting the ball at you. It really doesn't matter because Michigan plays out of their triggers and out of their flow, and they're still going to get good shots. So you running this 3/4 court pressure is actually playing into Michigan's advantage,
Mhm.
right? And then you want to then on offense you want to play through two bigs against our who are smaller than our two 7-footers, right? And who are guys who aren't natural scorers to begin with. Like
Mhm.
they're good players, but nobody in their right mind is going to play through Vasher as much as Texas A&M tried to.
Mhm.
So I think with Michigan, Dusty outcoached Buzz Williams like thoroughly, right? In his preparation and in-game coaching. And Michigan, like you said, Michigan was able to take care of the ball and get into their stuff relatively easy the second half, and it showed. It was a very good performance.
I watched the post-game presser for Texas A&M, and it was I guess I was impressed by how close that team was.
Hmm.
They were very like, hey man, we came a long way together.
Yep.
It was like we rocked together. We're disappointed, but we feel like we laid a solid foundation. That was very impressive.
Yep.
The
Yeah,
brother,
Wade Taylor's he's a Dallas kid, right? He's state multi-time state champion in high school. He's been a winner at every level. And I kind of understand this plight, right? You go to a program that's had success before, but wasn't necessarily in that stage or in that season of success when you got there and you help build the program to something else. You don't quite get to where you want to get to, but like you say, you leave a solid foundation for whoever comes in behind you. And Wade Taylor and those guys, they've done a good job of that down at A&M. Especially Wade. Wade he's been a great leader and the heart and soul of that program for 4 years now.
yeah. So I was impressed with their brotherhood, but they it felt like Wade especially thought that when first when they hit Michigan with a couple right crosses
Mm-hmm.
early in the second half, that Michigan was down, and they came back from that thanks to LJ Sign and Roddy Gale. And I do want your take on that here momentarily. But really, I want your take on the last 8 minutes of the game, because that was a
Mm-hmm.
part of the press conference that I really wanted to seize upon. Because Buzz, and you talking about him getting out coached, he was like, that was the game.
Mm-hmm.
He said the last 8 minutes of the game, we couldn't convert around the basket. He said, I can't figure it out.
Yeah, well,
So
it's
he said,
hard to convert. Got 2 7-footers down there.
I got to go back and look at the tape. I got to go back and look at the tape. He said the first 32 minutes of the game, we're converting around the basket. But the last 8 minutes of the game, all of a sudden, we can't convert around the basket. And then, it goes that we're just shooting jump shots and everything around the basket. We just can't convert. I was like, we got to give them credit, I guess, but can't figure it out. And then they turned up something defensively, Daniel, because they put the clamps on them. They had 70 points. 70
7 minutes left in the game.
with 8, it was like 7:56 left in the game. They had
Mm-hmm.
70 something points, like 70 points at that point.
Yeah.
And what was the final score? I got to go back and look at the final score. They score a lot more after that.
Yeah, they miss some open shots too, though. Like I said, it's always things are not all good when you win, and they ain't all bad when you lose. So I wouldn't say Michigan clamped them up, but they definitely played enough defense to get out of there with a W. Right, 70 points in what's that? 32 minutes is not good, but you kind of pick up your effort and your intensity. That's one thing Michigan has done over the years, right? They have this over throughout the year. They have this group of guys that they've been winning a lot of 1 and 2 possession games, and it's done different ways, or whether they're out executing the other team, or they're getting defensive stops, or both teams are chucking rocks at the rim like the Nebraska game, and we're fortunate enough to make 1 or 2 more plays than the other team. So this team has kind of made their mark winning close games, Sam. So I if it this Saturday against Auburn, if it's another close game, I'm putting my money on Dusty and crew.
Yeah, man. It was 70-66 with 7 minutes and 58 seconds left to go in
Yeah,
the game.
yeah,
And they lost the game. They ended up losing the game, obviously, um, at the end of the day. And they scored what? 9 more points the rest
yeah.
of the way.
And they missed. I remember Wade Taylor missed a couple open threes. He missed a layup driving to the rim. Zurich Phelps missed a shot. So there's possessions where we were fortunate that they actually missed, but we also had some possessions where we guarded the hell out of them as well. So it's always a balance to it. It's never just like, especially in the close game like that. Like if it was really what we clamped them up, then it would be double figure win. But it's a 1-2 possession game. You're gonna have plays where you make the right play. You may have a great possession, or you're gonna have some where it doesn't quite go your way.
Yeah,
But we
that 1 3 that Wade shot was halfway down.
yeah,
I think that was kind of what Michigan, if you have your druthers, you rather them be taking long shots, long, threes, as opposed to they were
yeah.
killing them. Pharrell was killing them around the basket early in the game.
You don't want to give him them too many looks. We were fortunate you missed that one, but if you watched him over the last 3 years, especially his sophomore through senior year, he's made a lot of tough clutch baskets like that, right? That's why he took it. But like I said, now when I'm glad he missed it, and we got out of there with a W.
Yeah, I wonder though. I wonder
He's a
if
volume
Buzz
shooter for sure.
if Buzz in retrospect felt like, in that game, his shot selection was what he wanted to do. He finished 1 for 8 from 3.
No, his shot selection is in question every game. That's not Wade Taylor's strength. If you look at his percentages, his shot selection is not his strength. But that doesn't mean he's not an effective and a good player. Obviously, he scored over 2,000 points at A&M. But
Yeah.
his shot selection is definitely in question every night.
Hey, because the 1 3 he hit, I mean, you would have thought the dude had hit 8 in a row.
Yeah.
He was like, the 1 3 he hit, you heard about it. It's like, damn, I mean, wow, man, you must be on a heater right now.
Hey, that's what you want. That's how you want your point guard, Sam. That's why he's like I said. That's why he's help establish a culture at A&M that's going to last beyond his year. And that's why I think Trey Donaldson has the ability to do that as well. His confidence isn't here all the time. Like if you know Wade, if you've seen Wade since high school, Sam, his confidence is here all the time. Right? He could be 1 for 8. He could be 8 for 8. He's go.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
let the next one fly.
yeah. Shoot to get hot, shoot to stay hot.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
And he'll shoot you out of it too.
yeah. He didn't get hot in that game. He was 4 for
Nah,
15 from the field, 1 for 8 from three. They're like, thank you very much.
yeah,
But
nah.
this was a game where one of Michigan's best shooters just didn't shoot a lot in this game, but he didn't
Mhm,
have to. Fortunately for them, in the Mari Burnett,
mhm.
because you look
Right,
over on the other side in a game where things weren't really going, they needed somebody to pick up the slack, right?
mhm,
Vlad's doing this thing inside, but who's going to pick up the slack on the perimeter? And for a stretch early in the second half, it was LJ Kason. This youngster was like, hey, man, none of the rest of y'all doing it. And I said this to you earlier. I said, Daniel, who? And I asked the question, but I asked it with a statement. I said, Daniel is, I said, Dan, ain't LJ Sign the best dude getting to the rim on this team? So I asked it with a statement, right?
mhm,
It's like he's the best dude that they have just one on one getting to the rim.
mhm,
And that played out early in the second half of this game when nothing else was going for them from the perimeter. Like he was the guy that held them in it at a crucial point in the game where it felt like it could have got away from
mhm. Yeah, now he made a couple plays in transition. He was opportunistic and aggressive in the right moments, right? Where he was able to get in the paint and get fouled, get to the free throw line. He made a couple shots. So no, he's definitely played well off the bench. I remember you asked me a couple weeks ago, a month or two ago, I forget, kind of second half of the season, would you play him more? Right? And I said, as somebody, and they asked me that in the chat as well. I say it'll be a ballsy move. It'll be risky if you do because freshmen make so many mistakes, right? But you see with him, the more he's cut down on the mistakes, as far as on defense and turnovers, you can play him a little bit more because he does have the physical attributes to be successful at this level as far as beating guys off the dribble, finishing through contact, making jumpers. So he has the physical ability. You just always worry about those freshman mistakes that tend to rear their head at times, and so that was my main concern with him playing more. But like you said, the more solid he is in on defense, the more you can play him. He's a really good offensive player. So he's gonna have to continue that because it's gonna be a big challenge this week, this Friday against Auburn.
Well, so that leads to a question before we get you to talking to us your take on Roddy's game and his play and his his resurgence, if you will. But Jeremiah
Mhm.
Roberts said, "What are your thoughts on Pippen hitting the portal?" And it's got to have everything to do with LJ sign, LJ sign's emergence, right?
I would think you could play them together once these other guys graduate. So I wouldn't really put it on LJ Cason's emergence. Some guys just don't. Some guys just don't. They're not comfortable. They're not. It doesn't pan out. You never know. Maybe he's one of the like his relationship with the coaches or his relationship, whatever. Or it might not even be that. It may just, hey, I'm from somewhere else and it's too cold here. I don't want to play. You just never know why guys hit the transfer portal these days. And like for a kid that was getting minutes as a freshman, like it's surprising. But and I know for me, if it was my roster and I was looking at it, I would have plans to play Case and Pippen together in the future, right? That's a good size backcourt. 2 6 3 6 4 guys. That's a good size backcourt at the college level. But hey, I wish him the best of luck. But from the things I'm hearing, if your dad wants to be in the mix and you a grown man, unless your name Bronny James, it ain't gonna work for you.
Mm-hmm.
You got to step in there. You got to step in there and earn your keep on your own too. So we'll
Yeah,
see. Wish him the
yeah.
best of luck though.
Well, it'll be interesting to see where his minutes would have. It would have been interesting to see where his minutes would have come from. You got Trey McKinney coming in, Trey Donaldson coming back. There, LJ Kason emerging.
You need four, at least four.
You have an open question about Namari,
Right.
and then they're looking in the portal.
Right. So that would be his opportunity to slide in and either be one of the guards in that second rotation. Like, so if you break your team down into fives, he can be one of the guards in that second group. Or, you play your way into becoming a starter, right? So
Mm.
that's pretty much your only options, or transfer. So he had there's a path to playing time and path to success for him here at Michigan. But you gotta look at, I think nowadays kids look at it and say, hey, do I want to compete for this third or fourth spot, or do I want to go somewhere where somebody's lying to me and guaranteeing me I'm gonna come in and be such and such and such and such? So, it's a for coaches, I only want guys who want to be here.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to leave, hey, wish you the best of luck. But from his from his standpoint, hey man, you got to find somewhere and get settled and put the work in.
I hear that. I hear that. So, what do you make of what we saw from Roddy in this game?
That's more of the guy that I expect. I didn't expect him to average, 25 a game, but I expected to see more games like that from him with his ability, right? I think one thing that as a guy who, big on shooting with my kids that I coach, it was good to see him not shoot those, like give himself a chance to make outside shots, right? Previously during the season, he had no chance of making shots as high as he was shooting the ball, right? I think on our film study, we kind of paused it a couple times, Sam, and his ball arc was above the shot clock.
Yeah.
Like, man, why are you shooting the ball so high? That ball's coming down with snow and all kind of moon dust on it.
Yeah.
So when you saw him the last 5 or 6 games, you could see his ball have better trajectory on it. Normally, when you break out of a slump, like I told you before on this show, when you break out of a slump, it's normally like, oh, I just gradually come out of a slump. No, when you come out of a slump, you normally bust out of it, right? And he definitely had a nice coming out reemergence this past weekend, especially against A&M. So
Mhm.
if he can, I don't. He doesn't have to get 26, but if he can continue to be aggressive and score and make plays and be solid with the basketball, that'll give us a good chance of winning this weekend, because I think the bigs are going to do what they do. It's going to be a great big man matchup between the two, but guard play is going to have to be high level this tomorrow night.
Yeah, man. I wonder if it was for the coaching staff, when he was missing as badly if it was as he was missing, how they were able to maintain the discipline. Because man, I watching him, there were times where I was like, even if he's sticking with the formula that they lay out about how you get threes, they were like, hey, if you're getting them inside out, if you're getting them on ball reversals, if you're getting good looks in transition, if you're hitting shots with, if you're hitting shots with in practice, uh,
Hmm.
go ahead and shoot. But they were so off, like you said, you were talking about the arc on the threes, and he was
Hmm.
airballing them, and I'm like,
Yeah.
it's like, man, I I don't know, Daniel. I don't know if I'm still telling them to keep shooting, but they were telling him to keep shooting.
Yeah.
I gotta give the coach, as much as I give him credit for, you know what, keep shooting. I'm giving the coaches a lot of credit for maintaining discipline in the process. Cause I gotta think that's hard to do, man. That's hard to stick with it when you see that. Cause I'd be like, yo, I cannot continue to give you license to shoot when it's going like that in game.
Now you kill a guy's confidence when you do that, right? Well, it depends on how mentally tough the guy is, right? Some guys, they may be able to take, hey man, coach said don't shoot that crap no more. I need to find another different way to be effective, right? So, or you can play it the other way. I need to massage this guy's confidence. I need to stay positive with him, keep him, because it's going to keep him right in the right mindset to have a chance to come out of the slump that he's in. Now, some guys, you might, like you said, hey, stop shooting that, do something different. That might send them even deeper into a hole, right? So, like you said, credit to Roddy for having the mental toughness to keep hooping and keep playing and keep shooting, and credit to the coaches for keep instilling that positivity and that confidence in him. The way he can go out there and find himself again. So it's a great job by both parties.
Yeah, that's big time. That's big time.
Hmm.
All right. So listen, let's go ahead and talk about Auburn.
Hmm.
Sweet 16 matchup that very few people, Daniel, are giving them a shot in this matchup down in Atlanta, about 100 miles away from Auburn. So it's essentially a home game for them. Break down this matchup. How do you see it going? Do you give Michigan much of a chance in this game?
Yeah, we have for sure. We have a chance. It's college basketball. First of all, it's basketball. Period. Right. This is not football where like normally the better team wins because you get worn down over the course of a game because one team is deeper or bigger and physical, more talent. In basketball, the team that looks better on paper or the team that looks better in layup line, Sam, they could come out and shoot 25% from the field and get beat. Right. So I think from a talent perspective, I think Auburn has the advantage, but I think from just from it's just hard to bet against against this Michigan team with all the close games they've won, so they've developed that chemistry or that synergy needed to win close games, right? They've they've they know each other and what they need to do to execute to win those games. So when you've been in that many close games, you naturally have an advantage over the teams you go play against, especially if you can make it a close game, right? So I think if we can keep this a close game and stay in the game, I think we give ourselves a great chance to win and do our patented surge the last 5 6 minutes of the game and end up winning, right? But if we come out and we start slow and we've had some of these performances that we've seen over the last 2 months before the Big Ten tournament, it can get ugly real quick against this Auburn team,
Mhm.
right? They push the pace. They have positional side. They have good positional size at every position. Broom is 6'10". The other big fella is 6'11". The point guard is 6'4". Those other guys are somewhere between 6'4" and 6'6". So they have great positional size. So we won't we won't have the same advantage physically on the perimeter that we would have say against a Purdue or Iowa or even a Maryland. Like we don't have the same because Reuben Jones, Roddy Gale, Trey Donaldson, Amari Burnett, those guys are good athletes and have good positional size as well. So that's how we've been able to overwhelm, say, like a Purdue or a Wisconsin. We were able to overwhelm them because we have longer, better athletes on the perimeter, right? To go with the 2 7-footers, right? So this game, those advantages are they're not necessarily advantage against Auburn. So we're going to really have to play good basketball. And I think they're capable. They've done it a few times this season. They're capable. So I don't know if I'm ready to give a prediction, but I think we definitely have a chance to win. There's definitely multiple paths to victory for Michigan tomorrow night.
You said they like to push the pace and typically pace is what Michigan likes to be up
Hmm.
tempo and play fast. But you're saying this is a team that likes to play that way too. That might not be.
Yes.
That's not an advantage against this team playing
Hmm.
with pace.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily, especially when you have when our advantage is once again going to be Vlad and Danny,
Hmm.
right?
How much?
So
How much can they stay on the floor though? Because Vlad, you can see Vlad. You can. Vlad is not shy about hey.
I
He'll
need to
call
get
his
one.
number. He'll
Yeah.
call his number real quick, right? So, whew.
Now you might have to have some situations. Like I think that's one thing Dusty does a great job with his rotation and keeping guys as fresh as possible. Like Vlad gets tired, but I think that's more so a product of him being a traditional big playing, when they get going up and down the floor. That's normal. Like it doesn't
Right.
matter what area you in. If you want to get up and down, you go look back and you'll see the big guy like, hey man, slow down real quick. And so but
Yeah.
now he's I think Vlad and Danny, they're gonna have to dominate their matchups in this game. But go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I would be curious, to study it. Not that it. I mean, his career, you know, college basketball ball career is almost over. How
Mhm.
many of his fouls kind of come in
When he's
moments
tired.
of when he's tired?
Hmm.
Yeah. How many of his fouls come as a result of that?
You'll
So
be surprised at how many guys that's even them little guys on the perimeter saying when they get tired, they start holding and grabbing and reaching and stuff like that. So you'll be surprised how kind of fatigue makes a wimp of us all when we
Yeah,
when
man.
we're in them extreme fatigue moments. Hey man, hey coach, I need one.
Well, I tell you what, I said this with Tim McCormick. If they pull this off, if they beat Auburn, they're going to the Final Four. Like, I
Mhm.
don't care who they see in the next round. Michigan State, Ole Miss. If they beat Auburn, they're beating whoever is in front of them
Think
en
so?
route to the Final Four. Absolutely.
Who's Michigan State playing?
Ole Miss.
Yeah, I think if we play Ole Miss, we'll beat them. But that Michigan State
And,
game is tough, Sam.
and
I'm telling you, it's
if
tough.
they beat Auburn, they will beat Sparty. They will beat
Hey,
Sparty.
I'm
You gotta
hey
understand, man.
from your lips to God's ears. So
Man,
I'm
Michigan
not
State, Michigan State has not seen they have not seen Michigan play any type of basketball yet. At all. At all. Think
okay.
about it. Have you seen has Trey even shown up to either game? He's not showed up to either game.
Right. So let me ask you a question. If you've seen it for 2 games, is it him or the other team?
I think it's him.
Okay.
I think it's him. You mark my words. And this is
Oh,
why
I'm not saying hey, I'm not going against you. Hey,
this is
so,
why I said it the way that I said it before. It's like,
yeah.
look, man, I feel like when we were talking about him at the end of the season, as much as it was a challenge being an issue, I think it was part him and it was part them being the coaches. I think you got to have practice being in the role that they put him in.
Hmm.
Like you can't just tell a guy to be the guy and expect him to be the guy. I think he has the talent to be the guy. Obviously, look at what he's doing.
Well, you can do it if that kid is never had another role before, right? Trey's had another role before playing at Auburn where he was the backup. So, like you said, it's going to take time for him to, like you said, assume that role. So
To
I agree
assume
with
that
you.
role.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
right, right. And then now you stepping up against Michigan, like you do it against Purdue. Like, and you're going it's a gauntlet.
yeah. Mhm.
So it's every night. It's not just sometimes, like he did against UCLA. And then and you're ebbing and flowing
And
with
it's
effort.
favorable. It's favorable physical matchups as well.
Right. And you're
Right.
ebbing and flowing when you're asking him to do it. Like,
Mhm.
so sometimes, okay, now we need you, Trey, but now it's gonna be Danny. And it's
Yeah,
gonna go over here and it's gonna go over there. But now we need you against Purdue.
yeah.
But now it's gonna go over here, and then we're gonna go to LJ at the end of the game and kind of thing. But now we need you again against but now we need you again against Michigan State.
Mhm.
That's not necessarily gonna have him ready for when you need him again against when it's the toughest challenge of the year against Michigan State. Now, I'm not saying that makes it okay. I'm not making
Mhm.
excuses. He still needed to play better
Mhm.
against Michigan State. I'm just telling you why I expect it to be different when they see him again.
But I think it's though the reason why it was Danny Trey, Danny Trey. I think it's based on the matchup, Sam. Like it's not a I don't necessarily think it's I think it's just like when they look at the matchups going into the game, you kind of know who's gonna have a chance to or who has an advantage basically. And so
See,
if you go into a game and Danny, if you have two playmakers and one has a bigger advantage than the other one, like Danny has against Michigan State, he has a much bigger advantage against the guys that he's matched up against compared to Trey going against Holloman and Richardson, right?
see,
That's a little different proposition.
I don't think it was the physical matchup that was doing them in.
No, Trey, when you got to guard guys like that, Sam, that affects you too, and especially when they frying you,
Yeah.
that makes a difference.
Well, he was getting fried. Braden Smith was frying him.
Yeah, but he has a natural physical advantage over Braden Smith, and like I said, our guards against Purdue, that's our strength, right? It's not as much the bigs, which I think Vlad has an advantage every game, but against a team like Purdue, Wisconsin, Maryland, with what's the little small guy that plays point that can shoot for them, Gillespie or whatever his name is. Like we have physical advantages over their perimeter guys, right? Over the last, with UC San Diego as well. Like we have physical advantages over, so that's why you see our guys. That's why you see them a lot more confident. You see them Trey hitting guys with his in and out crossover and transition. You see Namari putting his shoulders on guys, getting to the rim Roddy Gale as well. It's a little bit different proposition when that guy's like, say, like a Tashad Pettiford that's 6'4",
Hmm.
195 pounds, starting at point guard for for Auburn. It's a little
Yeah,
different advantage than playing against Braden Smith. A little different
yeah.
challenge, I should say.
And then at the same time, when you look at a dude, when you whose game you got you better than, like, you look, no disrespect, no disrespect intended, but if you Trey
Here comes the disrespect.
if you if you if you Trey if you Trey Donaldson and you look at Trey Holloman, like, come on, man, like, come
You
on,
gotta stop doing this, Sam.
like,
Like,
come
I'm not necessarily disagree with you. I like Trey's skill set better than Trey Holloman's. I'm not
on, man.
I see where you're coming from, right? I like Trey Donaldson's skill set better than Trey Holloman's. But as far as being effective right now in this conference, it's not
Well,
really
and-
it's not
well,
really
so
a
so here's what we need to do. Trey Donaldson need to show that I'm right.
yes.
He need to show
Yes.
that I'm right.
Yes. I agree.
He need to show that I'm right, because I'm right.
And
I
I got Trey slotted as the first team all unless Braden Smith comes back. I got Trey Donaldson making a run at first team all conference next year. But he has to step up and believe that and show that. And it's more than just talking, it's more playing like you've been doing the last, week or 2 weeks. So
So anyway, they got to get there first. they,
yeah,
they, they,
yeah.
they got to get there first. I mean, that's a that's a big old step. They got to get to
Yeah, we
this
gotta
Auburn
finish this
team.
year first. Yeah, we
Hey
gotta finish
man,
this year
this
first.
Auburn team, they're deep, they're talented, they're veteran, they're you gotta no. Listen, here's what you got to understand, Sparty. Here's what you got to understand. Y'all
Yeah,
can't
don't come here
accept reality.
talking crazy now.
See, because look where you are. You know where I have never been? You ain't never seen me nowhere near no kind of Sparty program ever. I ain't never watched a Sparty podcast, a Sparty program. Like, it don't even hit me like that. So look where you are right now. Look what you watching right now. Check it out. What we do, what we talking about. What does that tell you? What does that tell you?
Only thing I can say is bring your friends. Helps the
I- I'm
algorithm.
I'm I'm saying the same thing. I can't accept reality. So let's see it again and watch what happens when they actually show up. These
Yeah,
dudes, they had to get they had to get indoctrinated.
yeah.
It's true. They ain't have a clue. This is what I will say to the Sparties. These dudes didn't have a clue.
Y'all got that?
They didn't know what it was about.
Hmm.
They didn't. Y'all got that.
Hey, from
That's
that perspective, Sam, I agree with you on that. If it comes down to that, if we've learned our lessons from the first two games about what this rivalry is, I got Michigan if we in a rematch.
yeah. Yeah,
I
they
got
didn't
Michigan in
know
a
what it was about
rematch.
before. They know now. All that, oh, we kissed the, because I tell you this, I all this time I've been watching Michigan State. I didn't know that they was kissing the damn floor. I had no clue.
Sam, I played 4 years in this rivalry. I had no idea that was a thing.
I was like, what the hell are they talking about? Kissing the
Maybe
floor
it's
is
because
a
we never
tradition.
played there on senior night before. I don't know.
I was
But
like,
I've
what is this?
never seen that before.
It's like, that's a tradition. Okay. Uh, hey, let me join the Dusty I had no idea club. Right. But listen, but now they know. Now we know. All these dudes who are new to Michigan, now they get it.
Hmm.
So okay.
Now next year, if we schedule to play there on senior night, now you stand on the logo intentionally.
Right. Exactly.
Now you
And
stand
that's
on the
the point.
logo intentionally.
That's the point. Now these dudes stepping into that game knowing what it's about. That's
Yes,
why I
sir.
expect it to be different.
I can see that. I agree with that. I can see
Now Trey step on the court and he's had a lot of experience
that.
being okay. I gotta be different things at different times. What do you say? Be what your team
Needs you to be. Yep.
needs you to be. Yeah, he has a lot of experience with that now.
Yep. He's definitely done that over the last six. What is it? 5, 6 games now, for sure.
Don't get quiet. Don't get quiet, Spike. Where you go? Got all quiet all of a sudden. Don't get quiet now.
But can you imagine that? I'll definitely be there for that game. If we end up playing Sparty in the regional final, I'll definitely be at that game. Friday tomorrow night, we have an AAU game, so I won't be able to. I'll be just getting home as the game starts. But Sunday, if we win, I'll be there.
Anyway, I gotta get to. We want to get to the portal before we get out of here
Hmm.
because we both got to go. But before we do, we want to. Yeah, hey man, yeah, the Sparty show up. They show up, man. The Buckeyes too. I'm surprised. Buckeyes not showing up because they just don't matter during basketball season. they did for a second, and then all of a sudden they disappear. I'm surprised they're not here. They not here talking about. Oh wait, what happened to the postseason band? They showed up during my award interview. They just Buckeyes and Sparties always watching my stuff. Anyway,
They
um,
love you. They love you.
come on, man, it's crazy. Uh, one of our great sponsors, Golden Limo. I told you guys that when it comes to trusted ground transportation, there is no better service than our friends at Golden Limo. You guys know that when it comes to ground transportation, I'm heading down to Atlanta for the Sweet 16. Golden Limo. When it comes to the airport transport, game day transport. When it comes to getting around town, those really, really congested game days, Saturdays in Ann Arbor, Golden Limo. When you want to navigate anywhere in the country, like you got work to do and you don't want to have to worry about getting to your destination, you got work to do and you need someone to drive you around while you're doing that work, Golden Limo. Group transport, and you need to move around large groups, Golden Limo. Whether it's a mid-sized group, a large team like the Michigan football team, they ride on Golden. Any of your ground transportation needs can be met by Golden. And for me, one of my recent needs was to transport my mom, who as she had to be brought down from Flint to, a lot of her medical needs are being met down here in Ann Arbor. I had to get her down here. A lot of my work obviously prevents me from getting up and down the road as frequently as I need to. Who did I send to go up and get her? It was Golden Limo. Telling you folks, there is no more trustworthy service than Golden Limo. So when it comes to your ground transportation needs, I'm telling you, Golden Limo, they are the ones that will take care of you like they take care of me. They make a difference. Sean Duval, the president and CEO, has made excellence be the standard that they have come and set and maintained over the years. And when it comes to support of Michigan and the NIL initiatives for student athletes at Michigan, there's no bigger supporter here locally than Golden Limo as well. They go the extra mile as far as that's concerned too. So when it comes to your ground transportation needs, both here in Southeast Michigan, throughout the Southeast Michigan, throughout the country, or even abroad, Golden Limo has you covered there. And when it comes to support of the University of Michigan and student athletes in their NIL endeavors, Golden Limo has you covered there as well. You can get your ground transportation needs covered by going to goldenlimo.com. Again, that is goldenlimo.com. That is very easy to do. They make it very easy to remember. Or you can always just give them a call. So I'll put it up on the screen. Not Devin, of course. Devin always wants to be on the screen, get that screen time with my man Devin, who didn't make it out here with us today because he was otherwise occupied because he had some things to do. But you can give him a call at 734-668-8282. Again, at 734-668-8282 and book your ground
Mhm.
transportation today. All right, folks. So let's go ahead and talk about the transfer portal. Daniel, in a few minutes that we have left. And here's the deal, man. Big man shopping. We're only going to talk big men today. And there was one big man that the Wolverines were chasing. And when you heard it immediately, you were like, please don't let them get that guy.
Yeah, not for that price tag.
Well, we don't know that that was the price tag, though. And you were talking about Owen Freeman. You heard
Mm.
it. You heard the price tag was what, 2.5 million or something like that?
1.6.
Oh, 1.6 million. Now I don't know
Yeah.
exactly what the price tag was. Here's what we know about Owen Freeman. You know, obviously a bucket getter, but uh never played a day of defense in his life. That's what we know. Now that's not necessarily his fault. You know, when in Rome, right? It's not like they taught a whole lot of defense under Fran McCaffrey in Iowa City. So maybe if he had come this way, Daniel, maybe he would have played some defense. Maybe he would have, adopted some defensive principles.
Mm.
Maybe, potentially, right? Possibly.
Oh no, we switch everything. You got to have guys who got a little
Yeah,
bit defensively like inclined already.
yeah, yeah. But he wound up transferring to Creighton, so he's on his
that
way
makes
over
more
to
sense for
Creighton.
him.
But
Stay in Iowa.
there are some other bigs that Michigan has reportedly reached out to, been connected to,
Mm.
and with to varying degrees. Now, some are more hotly contested than others, and some Daniel more excited about than others. But the one that you're most excited about, not coincidentally, the one that seems to be the most hotly contested, and
Mm.
the one that I'm gonna mention first is the one that obviously piqued your curiosity the most, and that's Cooper
Mm.
Schweiger from Valpo,
Yeah,
and he is definitely the one that's the hottest right now.
yeah, nimble on his feet. Fluid athlete. What I mean, versatile. What I mean, he got a little hitch in his jump shot from three, but that can be fixed, right? But he has everything else. He's been productive at the level he's at. I'm not a big guy. Like I'm always gonna have guys. Always gonna have questions about guys that come from their previous schools and they're like, 7, 8, 10 points per game, and now you're coming to Michigan thinking you're gonna find either more success than you had there. So I'm always scared. It can happen, obviously, but I'm always a little skeptical. But when you look at guys like Cooper Swagger, he's been extremely productive at the level he's at right now with Valpo. So he's a guy that I would take a chance on. I would
Yeah,
recruit.
yeah. So 6'10", about 230, 30% 3-point shooter. Uh, gets it done inside and out. Michigan, Northwestern said to
Mm.
be a real strong contender in there. Clemson said to be very, very strong in that mix. Some people think he's a Clemson lean. Michigan in there as well. And you just feel like, man, you hear that list and don't you feel like, you, especially because Kansas was being mentioned in there one time too, right? And so
Mm.
that was the one that kind of like Kansas, Clemson. But when you hear that list, like Northwestern, Clemson, you know, Michigan, it's like Michigan could beat those squads, right? You just kind of feel like that in that mix. But at the end of the day, man, it might you wonder what the NIL battle is going to be, um, and whether the bidding war, considering some of the other teams that don't necessarily have pour all of their money into the basketball side of things. This is one of the things that the Big East was talking about, like, hey, we don't have to split our NIL with basketball or with football. We can pour all of our resources into basketball so we can outspend some of these basketball schools. Does that even the playing field somewhat with some of these other teams? So we'll see if that winds up playing into some of these recruitments. Maybe not so much with Cooper Schweiger as it will with some of these other recruitments that they get in. But the other schools that right now we're hearing with him: Northwestern, Clemson, of course, Michigan. Wake Forest was another school that we heard in the mix in there as well. So we'll see how it works out in the grand scheme. Wake doesn't. Um, um, I don't know if I know Northwestern has a visit set up, waiting to hear if where things wind up with Michigan. Clemson, I think, has a visit set up as well. And there was talk, I was looking to hear if Brad Brownell was going to wind up getting that Indiana job. Obviously, that didn't go through, as Darian DeVries wind up getting that job, and Brad Brownell seems like he's going to be in there for the long haul at Clemson. Really good coach, got a good thing going down there at Clemson. So I still though feel like, man,
I wouldn't go to Clemson.
you should be able to beat out those schools, man.
Yeah, I was about to say
Just
I
did
don't
with
think you
Danny.
should be.
Like, golly, you should be able to beat out these schools.
I know Clemson has good resources, and they're building something pretty decent in the ACC. But I think we should definitely be able to pull out a recruitment over Clemson.
You feel like it. You feel like it. Wait, Northwestern, Clemson should be able to beat those schools. But anyway, the guy that I really liked and you didn't like as much, because I know this dude is going to bring you some impact on the defensive end of the floor. He was the defensive player of the year in the Mountain West, was Magoon Gwath from San Diego State. As a freshman, went in, was defensive player of the year, 6'10", about 230, raw on the defensive end of the court, Daniel. But a 38 raw on the offensive end of the court, I should say, but brings you some rudimentary skill. Like, he could put it on the floor a little bit, but a 38% three-point shooter. Like, this is a dude who, like, I could see him being at least another couple of years in college of development. I don't see him being a guy that comes in and has one good year like a Danny Wolf and being out. Like, you get a Cooper Schweiger, that's a 1 year. He's gonna be a 1 year guy.
Right.
Cooper Schweiger is gonna be a 1 year guy. Not that that's a bad thing. Like, I would still take him, of course. But Magoon Gwath, I think the upside there is that I think he would be a 2-year piece to the puzzle, where you're going to be getting a defensive impact guy, a guy who you bring him in, he's going to be able to be a stretch guy where he's going to be able to hit a few threes, and then you can work on his off the dribble game that he's shown you a little bit of already.
Yeah. No, he's a versatile kid. And when I say, like you say, when I like him less than Schweiger, it's not that I don't like him at all. He has good, like you said, when you watch him and you try to project and look at him as a coach, he definitely has pieces that are, he has attributes that are, valuable and can help your program, and you see the areas that you can help him improve. But like I said, he doesn't get off the floor very high. I saw him playing with a huge knee brace on, so you never know if he has knee issues or if that's just a one-time thing. There's different things you just gotta look into with him. If everything checks out health and physical wise, like if you can add both of those guys, right? Because if you lose Vlad and Danny, you're gonna need
two. Yeah.
Right. So if you can add both of those guys, now you cooking with gas.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like they would be the perfect
Compliment.
perfect complement to each other. So
yeah, I would like
if they get both of them, that'll be shoot.
that would be good.
Yeah.
That would be good. Speaking of compliments, and yeah, they list him at 7 feet 205 pounds. So you work on his body too. He definitely looks to be more of a developmental guy, but who is going to come in and be a defensive presence for you. But you obviously needs to add some weight. Like, you gotta build his body. We was watching the film with Daniel. He's like, hey, he's gonna come to the Big Ten. They're gonna move his behind up out of there. he might have some want to, but want to and able to are different.
Definitely different.
But who is able to is a guy who you have a connection to, Daniel, is
Mm,
another dude who they've been connected to, who already is in the Big Ten, but is in the portal, and that's Lathan Somerville
mm.
from Rutgers.
Yeah, no, I like I said, I played with his dad my first year in France. I used to go over there. His wife and him, Marcellus and his wife would invite me over for dinner because they knew I was in my apartment eating McDonald's and ramen noodles that was sent from the U.S. And so they would invite me over for dinner, kind of show me the ropes on how to be a pro. So, and he was a toddler at the time, so I've been knowing him since he was a little kid, right? And just to see his progression and see him get to where he is now is great to see. And he's a guy, he has Big Ten experience. He's been somewhat productive as a freshman in the Big Ten. But like I said, he has things about his game that he's going to have to improve as well if he comes to Michigan. His explosion, his out. He's going to have to extend his range in his game to the 3-point line. There's different things that you're going to have to work with, but he has 3 more years of eligibility. So that's always a positive, especially with Michigan, where you have to kind of be in that sweet spot to even be able to transfer to Michigan, right? Less than 60 credits or a graduate.
Mm.
And if you can get a guy with Big Ten experience with, less than 60 credits with 3 years eligibility, you have something to work with. But like I said, if I'm choosing between the three, if I only could get one out of three, I'll take Swigert.
Oh, there's no
So,
question.
yeah.
Yeah, there's no question. He's the most complete guy, inside
Mm-hmm.
out guy, proven scorer, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, Lathan Somerville is a true interior guy.
Yes.
Hasn't even attempted very many threes. To be a big guy, not a
Great
real,
rebounder.
not a great rebounder,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So there are some things to really develop with
Mm.
him in his game.
I think if working on his explosion and his, you know, being able to jump multiple times, I think that'll help him with his rebounding. But for him, like I said, like just knowing his family and the background he's come from, he's gonna put in the work. His dad was an extremely hard worker. That's how he was able to make it as a 6'5", 3'4" tweener as a pro in some of the best leagues in the world outside of the NBA. So if he's gonna, I think he has that work ethic, and so he'll be another good guy to bring in. Like you said, they might end up needing 2 big men.
Mm,
So we'll see.
absolutely. All right, we will get updates to their recruitments to see where things stand and be talking about visits. This is a tough thing for the teams still playing, right? I mean,
Hmm.
you know, that part you understand what it is. Oh, he's like, I'm not gonna pay attention to the portal. Well, it's a bit
But Sam, you can do both.
right. I hear you.
It's not like Izzo is sitting in his office. Who do they play? It's not like he's sitting in his office from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. However long he's in the office, just constantly watching old Miss tape. You're not doing that. So you have time, and there's enough time in the day to either assign somebody to it, or we're gonna set up, and they have enough resources to set up a recruiting department that can handle it. So like, hey, like let's not. Come on, man. Let's not overdo this. So you guys are making 3, 4, 5, $6 million a year. You can prepare for a game on Thursday and recruit the portal until then, or on Friday and recruit the portal until then. So hey, come on, Izzo. I got a lot of respect for you, but let's not do that.
Hey, man, hey, you got certain people who listen to him and buy into everything. He's so right. Yeah, okay, whatever. Anyway, that is gonna do it for this edition of Steady Dropping Dimes. Hopefully, the next time we talk to you, we're talking about a Michigan team in the Final Four, a
Yes.
University of Michigan team in the Final Four. And I tell you what, if Michigan beats Auburn, we will be talking about a University of Michigan team in the Final
Hey,
Four.
I'm with you
Mark
on
it
that.
down.
I'm with you. I'm with you on that one.
Okay.
I'm standing on the table with Sam on that one.
Yeah, they beat Auburn. I see y'all in San Antonio.
Hmm.
All right. Mark it down. Mark it down. That'll do it for this edition of Steady Dropping Dimes. We'll see you next time, folks.